Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I'll be doing a very special video discussing 5 stories that I would like to see happen in the Star Wars canon. For this video, I am talking about stories that either are original stories that I would like to see told for the first time, or continuations of stories. Maybe a trilogy was written and I want another trilogy written afterwards, or I want, there was a single book and I want a sequel book, or there was an idea, a germ of a story in one book and I want a book series following it, that type of thing. I'm coming up with ideas for stories that I want to see in the future. And so, why don't I start with my number 5, which is what I'm going to call my Ahsoka sequel / Rebels prequel, which is my idea for building the Fulcrum network. I think that this is a really good idea, especially as we have the new Ahsoka TV show coming out next year. The concept of using Ahsoka has become more and more popular. The single novel that they wrote in 2016 by E.K. Johnston was massively popular. It did incredible sales numbers, and I think it was a pretty good book, but it basically got to the point where she became an agent working with Bail Organa, but she's not actually running the Fulcrum network at that point yet. And so I think there is ample opportunity where they could show her recruiting various people, her working with all the different other people that go by the name Fulcrum, her working to slowly build up groups and maybe start how she gets the Phoenix Squadron all together. I think that is a great opportunity for a story that still needs to be told. So why don't we go into my number 4? And my number 4 is a Ryloth series. One of my favorite planets in Star Wars is Ryloth, and I really like reading about the people of Ryloth or watching shows about Ryloth or the Twi'leks. Some obvious examples, I loved the Clone Wars episodes that had to deal with Ryloth, with them taking Ryloth, with them losing it, taking it back, all that stuff was really good. I also really liked seeing Ryloth in the Bad Batch, which was, I think, was really good. I also really liked seeing Ryloth in some of the books, like in the events of the Lords of the Sith. It takes a central place there, and then it is also heavily used in Resistance Reborn. I think that there is ample time, particularly in between episode 3 and 4, basically showing how Cham Syndulla built up the whole rebellion on Ryloth, how he started fighting for freedom. I think we could do book series following that storyline. I think that we could maybe do a trilogy or something. I think that is an ample opportunity. There are deep characters, there's rich world building, and there's also, it's just a fun story to tell, starting with nothing and building a rebellion. I really like that concept of a story. So that's my number 4. Getting into my number 3, this is a less specific idea and more of a broad general idea, and that is Clone Wars era stories. I don't know why, but we've had so few Clone Wars stories. We had Dark Disciple, the novel in canon, which was absolutely great. And then we also had Mike Chen's recent book, Brotherhood, which was also a fantastic book. And I think that Mike Chen in particular is in a unique place, that he has the fandom behind him, that if they announced that he was doing a trilogy of books set in the Clone Wars, or even just an ongoing series of Clone Wars novels, the fandom would unite behind it, because he did such a good job with Brotherhood. An absolute great book. And the Clone Wars, we got the TV show, but the TV show really focused on Anakin and Obi-Wan. And the Clone Wars is so huge and expansive. There are thousands of Jedi, which means there are tens of thousands of stories that they could possibly tell in this time period. And I'd like them to tell a story of a master and an apprentice as they start the Clone Wars, and tell a series where in each book the apprentice is slowly growing up, slowly getting more responsibilities. By the last book, the apprentice becomes a Jedi Knight, and you see them experience major events. You see the Battle of Geonosis from their perspective. Maybe they're not present at Geonosis, but they hear about it. Then maybe you hear about the Battle of Christothsis, and you hear about Battle over Coruscant, and the final book has to do with Order 66 and something. I think that's a great idea that they really should consider exploring more in the future. And really, I'd be happy with any kind of Clone Wars novels. But that type of a series, and if we got more Anakin Obi-Wan novels, I'd be very happy. But I think telling an original characters in a familiar time frame would be really good for the fandom to expand, but in a familiar way. Now we're going into my number 2. My number 2 is a more specific idea. I would like a sequel to Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Now, hold on. Everyone's going to say, wait a second, don't you mean a sequel to Lost Stars? Yes, Claudia Gray wrote the fantastic book Lost Stars. Wasn't my favorite, but it's a very good book. I understand why everyone loves it. And everyone's been clamoring for years to get a Lost Stars sequel, and we should. But the book that has really gone under the radar for a lot of people is the Leia Princess of Alderaan book, which I thought was superbly written. I think that it introduces the idea of Leia getting involved in the rebellion, her working in the Junior Senate, her working with other senators and important people on building the rebellion. I think that we should continue that story. I think that they should tell a story of once she's joined, like Leia Princess of Alderaan, it's her learning about the rebellion and starting in it. Now we need a novel about her actually taking part in the rebellion. I think that would be a really cool idea. Of course, I would want Claudia Gray to come back, although if they got another good author, it'd probably be fine. But Claudia Gray, she's great, and I want her to have more Star Wars books. So that's my idea for that one. And finally, my number 1 idea. This is probably a pipe dream, but it's a book I want to see. And it is a Kanan and Hera novel, and I want it to be a sequel to A New Dawn, but a direct prequel to Rebels, where we see Kanan and Hera recruit Sabine and Zeb. I think that is an absolute great idea. I think that we could easily sell the fandom on it. I think it would be a bestseller. I want them to bring back John Jackson Miller and have him write the book. If they wanted to get someone else, that would also be fine. But I think that this is an idea the fandom would get behind. It would kind of build back excitement about Rebels, especially since we're actually coming up on the 10th anniversary of Rebels in about a year and a half. So I think that if they wanted to plan now and start working on that book, that would be really good. And we get a Rebels prequel book, and it tells about the expansion of their group, and it would just be a fun book, fun time period to write it about it, and it'd be a chance to see if Rebels is as popular now as they expected it, because the first book missed the New York Times list just by a smidge, A New Dawn, just by a smidge, and I think this one would actually sell well. So those are my 5 ideas for Star Wars stories I want to see in novel formatting. If you have any ideas, please leave them down in the comments section below. Do you like any of my ideas, or do you think any of my ideas are terrible and should never happen? Let me know those down in the comments section below. And please check out my channel, please subscribe, please like this video, and look at all my other videos. I have many videos on Star Wars and other books and series. And so, until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.